Hello besties, welcome to my first video of 2024. So before we get into the specific books that I read in 2023, I wanted to give you some stats. So I read a total of 105 books last year, and Storygraph is actually lying in this photo because it wouldn't actually let me add one of the books that I read, but that's a total of 34,514 pages. Most of the books that I read were of medium pace, and 68% of them were between 300 and 500 pages. 99% of my reads were fiction, with a teeny tiny little 1% of non-fiction as well. My top genres were romance, contemporary, and young adult, which is actually surprising to me. I read 64% physically, 34% on my Kindle, and 2% as an audiobook, but this obviously doesn't count for the times where I've switched between Kindle Unlimited and physical copies or followed along with the audiobook as well. My most read authors were Tahira Mafi with the Shatter Me series, St. Abbey with the Mindfuck series, and Elsie Silver with Chestnut Springs. Now we can get onto the specific books and their ratings. Happy New Year, I hope you enjoy. Love you guys lots. Hello everyone, happy 2024, happy new year. I actually cannot believe it's come around this quickly. It is actually a little bit crazy because I feel like 2023 has just flown by. But in this video, I wanted to speak to you about the 105 books that I managed to read in 2023. I'm not going to go too much into detail about each one because if you want to see like my monthly wrap-ups, I do have a separate wrap-up video for like most of the months. I didn't do one for every month, but I'm going to try and get on that in 2024. I'm going to try and do as many monthly wrap-ups as I can for every month. But in this video, I'm going to be basically telling you the book that I read, what I rated it, and maybe like a brief little sentence about what I thought about it. And I'm going to try and get it done really quickly because, as I said, there's a lot of books here. We have a lot of books to talk about. So let's start with January. So I started January off with This Year's For Me and You. I rated this a 3.5 star. Wasn't anything special, but I did really enjoy it. I then read Truly Devious, which is like a YA mystery vibe. I heard that it was like the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, which is one of my all-time faves, and I didn't really enjoy this very much. So I rated this a 2.5 star. That book left on quite a cliffhanger, so I decided to read The Vanishing Stair, and none of the questions got answered. Didn't really enjoy this one at all, so I rated this one like a 2 star. None of the questions were answered, and it left on another cliffhanger, so I decided to just DNF the series. I then started the Mindfuck series on my Kindle, and I've only ever got 3 6-star reads in my life. The Mindfuck series as a whole is a 6-star read for me, and yes, I did count them all as 5 individual books. You can get a paperback copy of all of the books in one and count it as one book if you want to, but because I read them separately on Kindle Unlimited, counted them as 5 separate books. So that is 5 there in the Mindfuck series. Absolute 6-star, one of my favourite reads ever. Then we have Letters to the Lost. This book definitely surprised me. I rated this a 3-star. Again, not my favourite read, but definitely an emotional one, definitely one that I would recommend, and it's just sort of like a cutesy YA. Focuses on quite some sad topics, but I definitely recommend this. I then read 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. This is another one where it was by the Good Girl's Guide to Murder author, so I was like, I'm gonna love this. It definitely wasn't my favourite read. I think that's about a 3-star as well. I kind of just wished it was over the whole time I was reading it, so yeah, didn't particularly like that one very much. I then started one of my favourite series of all time, the Shatter Me series, and I read book number 1, rated it a 4.5 star, thoroughly enjoyed this book. This opened a whole new world to me, and I will treasure this in my heart forever. And of course that meant that I went on to Destroy Me, which is the first Shatter Me novella. I rated that one a 3-star as well. Obviously they're only tiny weeny little books, so I wasn't really sure how to rate them, but nonetheless, amazing. Now, you know I'm enjoying a series if I go straight onto the next one as well. I don't binge series ever because I like to give myself a break, but I went straight onto Unravel Me. If I had to pick my least favourite in the Shatter Me series, I definitely would go for this one. I feel like it was a little bit too long, a little bit lengthy, but nonetheless still really, really good. I still rated this one a 4-star, just wasn't my favourite in this series, but loved it anyway. I then read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my all-time favourite authors. I don't think I've rated any of her books less than a 4-star. She's incredible, and I rated this one a 4-star as well. Now, because I'd read so many great books, I felt a reading slump coming on a little bit, and I read Booked on a Feeling by JC Lee. This definitely wasn't my favourite read. I think I rated it like a 3-star at the time, but upon reflection, I have not thought about this book once since I read it. It took me so long to get through. Bear in mind it's so short, so I think I'm literally just going to rate it like a 1 or 2 star. No, maybe not 1, maybe a 2 star. I then read Fracture Me, which is the next novella in the Shatter Me series on my Kindle. I rated that one a 2.5 star because it's from a person's point of view that I didn't particularly like and didn't necessarily want to read that novella, but I wanted to get it as part of the story. It was okay. It was literally like 40-ish pages, I think, not even. Not much to say about it. I then went on to my favourite book in the series, which is Ignite Me. The 3rd official book in this Shatter Me series, but I think it's like the 4th or 5th one with the novellas. Absolutely fell in love with this book. This book made the series one of my favourite series ever. I then caught COVID, so I wasn't in a great mood, didn't want to pick up a book. I had really bad migraines, just was very sick for a long time. So all I wanted to do was listen to audiobooks on like very, very low volume. So I picked up Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I had the Kindle Unlimited audiobook to this, which is why I went for it. I wasn't particularly in the mood for it at the time, but I ended up really enjoying it. Wasn't my favourite book by her, her, so rated it a 3-star, maybe a 3.5 upon reflection. Did enjoy this, definitely would recommend it, but I do think she's got better books. I then read The Doctor's Wife on my Kindle, which was basically just like a little mystery thriller type book. It wasn't anything special, it was definitely entertaining, but I rated it a 2-star. It wasn't anything major. I then started my first ever 24-hour readathon, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and read one of my favourite books of the year, which is Icebreaker. I read this obviously from start to finish in one sitting because it was for a readathon, and I rated this a 5-star, and I have not stopped thinking about it since. I love it. I was then flying through the Shatter Me series at this point and read Restore Me, which I rated a 4-star. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I read it not in a 24-hour readathon because I sort of obviously rushed it, read it from start to finish, but very much enjoyed it and very much was so deep into the series at this point. I then read You Again by Lauren Lane. This was also in the 24-hour readathon, and I rated this one a 2-star. Again, I think by that point I was just too tired to enjoy any books because obviously it was my first ever 24-hour readathon. So again, I think if I'd read this normally I would have probably enjoyed it more, but yeah, 2-star. I then read Shadow Me, which is the next novella in the Shatter Me series, and I rated that one a 2.5 star. Again, readathon. I think I would have enjoyed it if I didn't read it in the readathon, but thoroughly enjoyed that series at that point, and it was just like a little filler read. And that is it for February. We are now moving on to March, and again, I felt after my 24-hour readathon, I felt a slump coming on. I just read 4 books in 24 hours for the first time, so I just wasn't really in the mood to pick up many books. So I picked up Dream On by Angie Hockman. Another 2-star. I think I just went into like this reading slump mode from February and March, and then I think in April it sort of like came out of it a little bit. I feel like when I was reading this, it was when I really started focusing on booktube and making videos and everything, so I sort of dedicated all my time to that rather than reading the actual books for it. So I feel like this took me a really long time to get through. Yeah, another 2.5 star, nothing crazy. And then one day while getting ready for work, I listened to Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is like a really tiny little mini story, a short story. Again, listened to it in about an hour, and of course it's Taylor Jenkins Reid, so I rated that a 4-star. I then went on to the next book in the Shatter Me series. I rated this one a 4-star as well. I feel like this is when the series starts to get really, really dark. The dark themes really start happening and stuff, but I love this series and it literally is one of my favourites. But yeah, I don't think I could rate a Shatter Me book less than 4-star. There's no way. I then read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. For some reason I had a gut feeling that I read this in 2022. I didn't, so I have no recollection of reading this book this year, but I did enjoy it. It was a 4-star for me. I haven't actually carried on with the series yet. I think there's 3 books out at the moment. I think that series is finished, but I definitely am going to finish it, and I have the other 2 books on my physical TBRs. I then read Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Part of me wishes that I saved it for the summertime because it is sort of like a summery set book, and obviously I read it in March, but I absolutely love this book, would definitely recommend it. It's one that I don't really hear people talk about that much. Thoroughly enjoyed it, it was really, really good. I then also read Reveal Me, which is the next novella in the Shatter Me series, and rated that a 4-star. I then started off April with my first ever proper reading vlog where I was reading themed books for a themed video. So I read my books out of my comfort zone, which was started off by A Court of Thorns and Roses. This was my first ever fantasy book other than the Harry Potter series, but I don't really count that because I feel like everyone's read those. I rated this book a 4.5 star, and again has opened a world of fantasy to me that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm still fairly new to fantasy but really excited to delve more into it, and I'll forever have a love for this series. I then read I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is her memoir. I don't rate memoirs because I'm not rating someone's life experiences, so yeah, I did enjoy the book though. It was really good. I then read Misery by Stephen King. This wasn't my favourite book. I will not lie to you, I rated this book a 2-star. Very, very close to DNF in it, but obviously wanted to finish it for the video. I then read Stranger Things Suspicious Minds by Gwenda Bond. This is sort of like a prequel kind of thing to the Stranger Things series TV show, and I rated this one a 3-star. Again, nothing crazy, but I love the show, so I just wanted to see like a little bit more into that, and just sort of like one of my favourite storylines in the show, this delves a little bit more into. So yeah, I wanted to see that, and wasn't anything crazy, but enjoyed it. I then read A Study in Scarlet, which is the first Sherlock Holmes novel. This was also for my reading books out of my comfort zone video, and I rated that one a 2-star. It was a classic. It was my first ever classic since school, and I feel like the first half of it was really good. The actual mystery, the case, thoroughly interested. I love a mystery slash thriller kind of vibe, but then the second half was just awful to the point where I just wanted to DNF the book, so 2-star. At that point, I'd stopped reading for that video and started Imagine Me. This is the last big book in the Shatter Me series, and this book had me emotional. This book I rated a 4.5 star again. And then I sadly finished up the Shatter Me series with Believe Me. This was a 5-star. I feel like it was the absolute perfect ending, a perfect wrap up, and I highly recommend reading the novellas. If you're debating whether to read the Shatter Me series and you're thinking, do I need to read the novellas or not? 100% do. They add so much more to the story. They might seem pointless, but they're definitely not. That was it for March. We are now on to April. So I started off the month by delving straight back back into the ACOTAR series. This book was probably my favourite in the series so far. I feel like number 1 and 2 are on par with each other, but this one was also 4.5 star. I then read Funny You Should Ask, which arguably has one of my favourite covers ever. I think it's really, really beautiful. And I originally rated this a 4 star, but I think upon reflection I'd probably rate it like a 3.5 because I don't really think about it that much. It was definitely an enjoyable read, but not one that stuck with me. I then read Twisted Love, which obviously is the start of the Twisted series. This is the first book, and rated it a 5 star. Not sure what possessed me to enjoy this one so much, but absolutely loved it apparently and ate it up. I then read Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This definitely wasn't my favourite book by her, but I still rated it a 4 star nonetheless. But I think if I had to rank it, it probably would be my least favourite. I then read The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I rated this a 4 star. Don't really think about it that often, so I'm maybe going to lower it to a 3.5, but still enjoyed it, and I love Christina Lauren's writing and I can't wait to get more into that. So this next book, I was going to do a 24-hour readathon, so I sat and read Everything in one sitting and then decided to not do the 24-hour readathon anymore. So I read this in one day for no reason. I had watched the film before I read the book, but I still rated this a 3 star, still enjoyed it. I then started the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy and started with The Deal. I rated this one a 4 or a 4.5, I can't really remember. I think I'm going to go for a 4 star. And obviously I'd read Icebreaker, my first ever hockey romance, but this really sealed the deal and showed me that I loved hockey romances. And I did forget to say that that was June. I've started June now. The Deal was in June. So my second book of June was Archer's Voice. I read this again for my booktubers video. A lot of these books are for videos, so if you do want to see me read them, then just scour through my channel somewhere. I love this book. I originally rated this either a 4.5 or a 4.75, but I have not stopped thinking about this. There's not a day that's gone by without me thinking of Archer's Voice. So I've decided to up it to a 5 star. It's definitely one that I want to reread and definitely one of my favourite books of the year. Absolutely love it. I think I'm going to have to move these books back because they're just going to fall over. This is when I decided that I did want to do a 24-hour readathon in the end because I ended up getting my camera and I was all excited to use it, so I thought let's do a 24-hour readathon. And I read Sally Rooney's Normal People. I rated this a 2 star, didn't enjoy it very much. I can understand why people love this, but was not for me. The second book of this readathon was A Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I rated this a 3 star. Wasn't my favourite read, but I still did enjoy it, and I feel like, again, I probably would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't for the readathon. I then read The Housemaid on my Kindle by Frida McFadden. This has also become one of my favourite books this year, and I rated that one a 4 star. I don't really know how to talk about these books because they're not books, they're graphic novels, but I read the first 2 books in the Heartstopper series. I think I rated the first one a 5 star and this one a 4.5. And then I ended up ending the readathon with They Both Die at the End by Adam Silverer. Was very close to DNF in this book, but again, I'm going to put it down to the fact that I was just too tired to read it and I just didn't really enjoy it that much. And of course the post-readathon reading slump definitely did commence, so I decided to delve straight back into the Heartstopper series by reading number 3. A graphic novel was just the perfect palette cleanser that I needed at that point, and I rated this one a 4 star. I then started one of my top series ever, the Chestnut Spring series, with Flawless. I originally rated this one a 5 star because I just absolutely fell in love with the cowboy vibe, but upon reflection I think I'm going to rate it a 4.5, only because I enjoyed the other ones quite a lot more than this, and I'll obviously get onto that a little bit later, but 4.5 star. I then read 28 Summers by Elin Hildebrand. This is another one that I was really considering DNFing because I just couldn't really find myself getting through it. I had to buy the audiobook because I just wasn't enjoying it that much, and I ended up rating it a 2 star. And it had a trope in it that I just do not enjoy. I then went on my summer holiday to Marrakesh with my fiance and started When in Rome by Sarah Adams. You can see this book was well loved on holiday. It got absolutely ruined, it fell in the water, but I rate this one a 3.5 star. Definitely enjoyed it, definitely liked this one by Sarah Adams more than The Cheat Sheet. I then read the second book to The Housemaid, which is The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden, and I rated that one a 4 star as well. And then I was on a little Sarah Adams kick and decided to read Practice Makes Perfect. I also read this one in like a day or 2 around the swimming pool, and I enjoyed this one a lot more than When in Rome, so I rated this one a 4 star, but I think I've thought about it quite a bit since, so I might be going for like a 4.25. I then read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I read this on my Kindle because I haven't got the copy yet because I want to wait for it to come out in paperback. And I was quite disappointed by this book. I definitely had higher expectations of it. It was definitely a good book, don't get me wrong, but I was just expecting it to be a little bit fluffy, a little bit more fun than it was, and it was just really, really sad. And I read it on holiday, so I just wanted good, happy vibes. I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But I actually started Happy Place at the end of June and then finished it in July, so we're now onto the July books. Just before I went on holiday, I found Sky's the Limit, and this is actually set in Marrakesh, so I thought I'm going to Marrakesh. What better time to sit and read it around the pool when you're in that country? I DNF'd this book softly. I don't think I'm going to pick it up again, but I wouldn't be opposed to picking it up again. And I am going to count it towards my goal because I still read like a significant amount of it. If I read over 100 pages of a book, it counts towards my goal whether I DNF it or not. I then went back into Elle Kennedy's writing, but not the Off-Campus series, and I started the Avalon Bay series, which is a Good Girl complex. I managed to finish this one on the plane coming home from my holiday, and I rated this one a 4 star. I then went on to read The Roommate. This is another one that was quite close to DNFing, only because I couldn't get into it at the time, but I ended up rating it a 3 star. I think it picked up a little bit more towards the end. I thought it was quite cute and sweet, but wasn't my favourite. It's really cute though. It does look really cute. So I decided to pick up After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I rated this book a 5-star. It was very unexpected because this is definitely one of her ones that is a little bit more niche. Not necessarily niche, but ones that doesn't really get spoken about as much. Absolute 5-star. Loved it. I then read The Visa by Lizzie O'Hagan. This is another one that I had to download the audiobook for because I just needed to sort of get through it a little bit more, but I did enjoy the book. I rated it a 3-star and I would recommend it, it just wasn't my fave. Now this is when my birthday hit, so I got a load of new books, a load of more exciting reads. One of my most anticipated reads was Heartless by Elsie Silver. Obviously I'd already started the Chestnut Spring series and I rated this one a 5-star. Again, originally rated it a 4.5 or a 4.75. I realised it was my favourite in the series, therefore it is a 5-star. Absolute chef's kiss, loved it. And then I thought, I've read quite a bit of romance recently, so I need a little thriller, so I then read The Locked Door by Freida McFadden. So far, The Locked Door definitely is my least favourite out of all of the books that I've read by her, and I rated it a 3-star, but still enjoyed it and I would recommend. I just can't really remember much about it. I was then really excited to delve into Twisted Games. Obviously I'd read Twisted Love before, and I rated this one a 3-star and thoroughly enjoyed getting to know the characters a little bit more. I then went straight into Twisted Hate. I'd arguably say this is my least favourite in the series, but I rated this one a 3-star. It just took me a little bit too long to get through. That was it for July. We are now on to August. So I kicked off August by reading Bad Girl Reputation. This is the second book in the Avalon Bay series, and I rated this one a 3-star. There's a lot of 3-stars going on here. I then went back into the Chestnut Spring series. Powerless is arguably my least favourite in the series, but I still very much enjoyed it, and I rated Powerless a 4-star. At this point I wanted another little palette cleanser, so I decided to read the 4th book in the Heartstopper series. Arguably again this is my least favourite of the series, but still very much enjoyed it, and I rated this one a 4-star as well. I then read The Proposal by Elle Still and rated this one a 3.5-star. I wanted to love this one a little bit more, but there was just certain things about it that I didn't really enjoy. I then read Carrie Soto Is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was originally debating between a 4.75 and a 5-star, but then I've simply settled on a 4.75. One of my favourite books by her though, absolutely loved it. I then read a book that pleasantly surprised me, and that's Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is my first ever Abby Jimenez book, and I knew that I was going to like her writing simply from what I'd heard about it, but I wasn't expecting to like it this much. I've thought about this book every single day since I read it, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I originally rated it, I think it was like 4.25, 4.5, but I think I might up this to a 5-star. But then I don't know, because if I loved it so much, would I have thought that it was a 5-star the first time? So I think I'm going to leave it as a 4.75 for now and have a little think about it. I then read The Inmate by Freida McFadden. This is also one of my favourite books by her. Rated this one a 4.75. 100% recommend that book. Very, very interesting concept. And then I was a little bit disappointed by Love Theoretically. I definitely thought that this was going to have a little bit more romance in it. Considering there's 2 people kissing on the front cover, I thought that it would definitely be a bit more romance based. But I rated this one a 3-star. I definitely enjoy Ali Hazelwood's writing, but this definitely wasn't my favourite by her. Considering The Love Hypothesis was a 5-star, this one did disappoint just a little bit. We are now in September, and I'm not going to let myself dwell too much on this book, but I read my favourite book of all time, my favourite book of the year, all time, whatever you want to call it, Magnolia Parks. To the point, I'm literally wearing a Magnolia Parks sweatshirt right now. Like, this book has me in a chokehold. I have not stopped thinking about it since. There has not been a day that's gone by where I haven't thought about it. Absolutely love it. 6-star. Adore it so much. Like, I'm going to shut up now because we'll be here all day if I don't. I then read Morally Corrupt on my Kindle by Veronica Lancet. This was another 3-star. Wasn't my favourite read, but I wanted to delve into dark romance a little bit more. Obviously read this for my dark romance video. Enjoyed it, but wasn't my favourite. I know that there's definitely better dark romances out there. I then read this behemoth of a book, Fourth Wing. This book had everyone in chokehold in 2023. This book was arguably probably the most popular book of this year. Of last year. It's now last year. Oh my god. Don't get me wrong, did enjoy it. Rated it a 4.5 star at the time, but I'm now going to lower that to a 4. I then read Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series and rated this one a 4.5 star. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved this series, and I loved Leo and Winter's relationship so much. I then read The Street by Susie Holiday and rated this one a 3.5 star. I wanted to like this one a little bit more because the concept of it was really interesting. It just didn't deliver that much. It didn't deliver exactly what I wanted it to deliver. I don't know. And then lastly for September, I finished up the Twisted series by Anna Huang and read Twisted Lies. This was definitely my second favourite in the series, and I think upon reflection, I'm probably going to rate it a 4.25. I think I rated it a 4 at first, but I did really enjoy this book. We are now in October, and I kicked off that month by reading Daisy Hates. This is the 2nd book in the Magnolia Parks universe. I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one, but it was still a 4.5 star, and I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. I then read Thorn Princess by LJ Shen. You can tell by my face that I didn't really enjoy this one very, very much. The main male character was weird. I don't know. I don't want to say I enjoyed it because I didn't really enjoy it, but I would recommend. I feel like other people would enjoy it. After not really enjoying that book so much, I decided to go on to Hopeless by Elsie Silver. I rated this book a 5 star. This is my second 5 star in the Chestnut Spring series, and definitely my second favourite book in the series. Not sure what possessed me to like this one so much because I really thought that I wasn't going to like it that much, but It took me by surprise, absolutely loved it. I then read A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the third book in the ACOTAR series. I don't have the physical copy on me right now because I'm actually letting Riley's cousin borrow it, so I'll get that back very, very soon because she's nearly done. But I rated that one a 4-star as well. I've heard that it's some people's favourite of the series. It definitely wasn't my favourite, but absolutely adored it nonetheless, and I love these characters so much. And then I did another 24-hour readathon where I only read thrillers for 24 hours because it was October, it was Halloween, it was great vibes. So I started off with The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. I rated this one a 3-star because it was definitely enjoyable and it did take me by surprise. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, but I enjoyed the first part a lot more than I enjoyed the second. I feel like if the first part stayed on track, would have been maybe a 4, maybe a 4.5. I then listened to The Perfect Marriage on audiobook. I don't know why I'm holding my Kindle, but I just need to hold something when I talk about books. And I rated that one a 3-star at the time, but I think if I read it physically, it probably would have been a 1 or 2 star because I predicted the ending within the first like 50 pages of the book. I then read Ward D by Freida McFadden. Again, I adore Freida McFadden. She's definitely become one of my favourite authors this year and I've got so many more of her books to read, but I rated that one a 4.25. Definitely enjoyed that one. I actually messed up the order a little bit because Goodreads did it wrong, but I did read Too Late by Colleen Hoover as well. This is like a dark romance thrillery vibe. I definitely thought it was going to be a bit more thrilling, a little bit more dark romance based, but I still enjoyed the story and I think I rated this one like a 3.5. Now this is where I feel like my reading enhanced a little bit. My reading experience, my reading brain managed to be able to read 2 books at once for the first time. I'm now currently doing that. I'm really enjoying doing that, but this is the first time that I ever tried it. So I started Wildfire by Hannah Grace. Obviously I adored Icebreaker. It was a 5-star for me. Then Wildfire came out in October and I'd been dying to read it, and this one took me quite a while to get through, so I was like, I might as well read A Court of Frost and Starlight at the same time. I listened to a little bit of this on audiobook. I read it physically as well while slowly reading this at the same time. I ended up rating A Court of Frost and Starlight a 3-star. Definitely wasn't my favourite read. It was just sort of like a cutesy Christmas novella to go in between the ACOTAR series. And then I rated Wildfire by Hannah Grace a 4-star because it definitely was less enjoyable than the first one. I feel like the first one just has me in a chokehold, but this one was really good too. It took me quite a while to get through those 2 books because I think I was just coming out of my readathon slump. I just wasn't really sure what I was in the mood for. I didn't have time to read because obviously I started getting back into more uni work and stuff. November was the shortest month reading wise for me, but again I read quite a few lengthy books, which is why. So I started off the month with Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I think I rated it a 4 or 4.25, not 100% sure because obviously Goodreads doesn't do the quarter or half-star ratings, which don't even get me started on that, but I did enjoy this book and would definitely recommend. The next one is one of my all-time favourites of the year, which is A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I had this sat on my physical TBR for a year. I got it, not the Christmas just gone, but the one before that, and I was like, I'll get to it eventually. Everyone was like, you're gonna cry, you're gonna hate it but love it, and it's gonna cause so many emotions, so I was sort of scared to pick it up. I cannot believe I enjoyed this one as much as I did. Instant 5-star, one of my favourite books of the year. Highly recommend, absolutely love it. And I've literally got mascara marks still on the front cover. I read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan, and I rated this one a 4-star. It definitely wasn't as sad as I thought it was going to be. I didn't cry. Again, I'd heard that it was going to be really emotional, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed the book. Oh no. Now we only have 1 month left, which is December, obviously the month that's just gone, and I started off that month by starting my uni exams. I was in the midst of like a million essays, so I was in a little bit of a slump, didn't know what I wanted to read. I was reading really slowly, so I started off the month, and I've actually packed them away with my Christmas decorations right now, so I can't hold them up for you, but 2 children's short stories, Christmas related. So the first one that I read was A Christmas Carol, and when I say I read, it was like 30 pages, so I got it done in like 15 minutes. Less than, I think it literally took me like 5-10 minutes to read this book. And then I read The First Christmas, which is basically like the little story of Jesus. It was just like this really cute, tiny little book that I reread them every year, but I don't have them on me because they're packed away. But alongside those, I was reading The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. This is the second book in the Off Campus series, and I rated that one a 4-star. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to delve more into that series as well in the new year. I'd already beaten my reading goal in like September, so I wasn't necessarily wanting to beat any goal, but I did obviously think it'd be nice to reach 100 books, and I was like 4 or 5 books away. So I wanted short, quick reads, and obviously I was in the midst of my exams as well, so I just wanted quick books that I can just sort of fly through. So I went for Resting Scrooge Face by, I think it's Megan Quinn, and I read that one on my Kindle as well. Again, it was literally like 50-ish pages, and I read that within like half an hour, and I rated that a 4-star. Really enjoyed it. I then read The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Lees. This was for my Elf on the Shelf video, and I rated this one a 4-star. I then went on to read Baby It's Cold Outside by Emily Bell. Obviously I'd started off the year with this author with This Year's For Me and You, and then obviously wanted to finish the year with this author as well. And there was definitely things I liked, definitely things I disliked about this book. I feel like it dragged on just a little bit too much. And then Heartstopper Volume 5 came out. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I rated this one a 4-star as well. I then finished off my Elf on the Shelf video with All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. I read a book by her last year, Christmas related, and absolutely fell in love with it. It was like a 4.5 star. So I really thought that I would really enjoy this one as well. But it wasn't as enjoyable. It was definitely a fun read, but yeah, like a 3-star, nothing crazy. I then read Driving in the Dark by Jack Hardin. This is another really short story about a man driving in the dark. Again, it was literally like 30-40 pages, but I rated that one a 3-star as well. I then finished off the year by reading Baggage Claim by Juliana Smith, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that was probably my top read of December. It was just a cutesy little one that I found on Kindle Unlimited. It was sort of Christmassy, but not too in your face Christmas, so you could read it in January and it'd be fine. It's set at Christmas time, but it doesn't like throw it all in your face, and it's not too Christmassy based. But I definitely recommend that, and I rated that one a 4.25 star. Oh my god, that is all the books that I read. My knees are killing me because I've been sat in this chair, not even in this chair, on the floor. I've been sat on the floor this whole time, and I probably spoke like a robot that entire video because I just wanted to quickly get to the point. But that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have an amazing 2024. Let me know your least and your most favourite book of 2023. God, these years are getting confusing. But I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your favourite and least favourite book of the year, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. I've got very exciting videos coming up in the new year, and I just wanted to quickly thank everyone who subscribed to my channel in the last year. Obviously I started it in February of last year consistently, and I've grown so much, and thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers as well. I'm so grateful. Make sure to follow my socials, and I'll hopefully see you in my next one. Love you guys lots. Bye!